Hello artists, welcome to our doorknob decoration painting class. My name is Miss M and today we're going to decorate something cool for our hanger that goes onto our doorknob. For your materials, you should have a wax paper underneath your doorknob. You should have a paper towel, a cup of water, your large brush and your small brush. You do not have to pour your paints out. You can just kind of keep them in the container. So just be sure to use that wax paper to put underneath your doorknob hanger instead of pouring your paints onto it, because you won't really be needing to mix your colors to make new colors. So again, leave your colors in the container, your wax paper underneath your doorknob hanger, your paper towel, your cup of water, and your large and your small brush. So today we are going to make a CCMS Claggett Creek Middle School doorknob. So again, some more school spirit, which is always great. Something that you can hold on forever to, and just remember that you were in Claggett Creek during this time. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to wash and dry both of our brushes. So you can just kind of swirl your brushes into your cup of water and dry both of them onto your paper towel. Go ahead and leave your small brush onto your paper towel and grab your big brush. Go ahead and dip your big brush into your dark blue that you have. And we are going to paint this whole thing. And this is going to be the front side. We're going to paint it all dark blue. You can always go back for more dark blue as you need. Ooh, excuse me. Hold it so it doesn't slide all over the place. Just paint it nicely and neatly in an up and down motion. Again, nice long brush strokes as usual, so we don't have that stop and go choppy movement. You really want to spread that paint out and get it nice and smooth. You don't really have to worry about painting the back unless later on, once you're done with this painting, you go home, or you are at home and you let it dry. Then you can flip it to the other side and paint it. Let's say you wanted to paint it the same color as the front with this dark blue, but for now we're just painting the front part, because that's the side that's going to be visible when you hang this onto your doorknob on your room, or just any room that has a doorknob for decoration. Up here, paint this top part. Try to hold it where there's no paint so I don't get my hands too messy. I think I'm gonna give it a moment to dry and go back and give it a second coat. You can also paint the sides, because you'll be able to see the sides when it's hanging from the doorknob. So maybe just go in there and get the sides of your doorknob hanger so you won't see those areas of the wood poking through. Go in there inside that space. And leave it on the top part. Get that all dark blue. Be sure all sides are covered. And then you can go back and give this dark blue a second coat so you won't see the wood as much. It's a little bit more solid. Looks a little bit more cleaner once you go back. Give it a second coat of dark blue. You won't see those streaky lines like you would, same with a canvas. When you just give things one coat sometimes on your canvas, you'll see those little streaky lines. But with two coats, it's a little bit more solid. And this wood soaks up this paint so fast that it does dry pretty fast. You'll see those shiny spots go away pretty soon because that wood just absorbs it so fast. And once you are done with your dark blue, you can go ahead and wash and dry your big brush. I'll give it a couple minutes to dry before I show you guys the next step. And again, you can still be working on your blue background. But for our design, we'll just be using our small brush. And first we're going to go in there with black, and we're going to draw a black paw. Then we're going to use our small brush and our black paint again to write the letters CCMS. And then on the bottom part, we'll just be making some black and white stripes. And we'll also outline around our paw and the CCMS with white paint once it's a little bit more dry. So again, this is all done with our small brush. And while yours is drying, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to create the paw. But again, give yours a couple minutes to dry. Wait till I'm done with the paw print shape before you go in there and you start. So again, there's three sections. It's going to be the paw, the CCMS, and then the stripes. For this step, again, be sure you're just letting yours dry at this point. Mine might be a little bit too wet, but I just want to make sure I'm showing you in a nice, timely fashion. But small brush black paint. This top third, so if I was to split up into three, 1, 2, 3, will be the paw. I'm going to be sure to leave room for the little toe prints. But I am going to go in there. I'm going to make the paw print by just making kind of like, it's like a rainbow shape. I'm going to go in and out, then in and out. So it has that shape right now. So out, out, and then I'll come up on the left side, and I'll come up on the right side. So again, this is going to be your bump right here, your kind of rainbow shape. In and out, in and out. You're going to come up on this side, come up on that side. You can go ahead and fill it in. Once you're done with that shape, you can go in there and put the paws in there, and pretty much you have, you can put the little toe prints. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. The little footprints, excuse me. So there's 1, 2. So there's 2 on the left side, and then there's gonna be 2 on the right side. I'm gonna make those a little bit bigger so they can kind of come together a little bit more. And those kind of have like an oval shape to them. Be sure not to touch the black where the rest of the front is. Oh, I got really close to that one, but I don't want to touch it. And I started off small and just kind of got bigger, because if I got too big too fast, then it'd be hard to go back. shapes right there. So again, don't touch this part. They are a little bit more rounded on the outside. And just a little bit more flat on the bottom. Again, it's better to be too small and then go in there and make it bigger. Don't touch this main part to the toes part. Well, there is that shape right there. And now whenever you're ready, if your blue is still a little bit shiny, wait a little bit longer, but you can start this shape right here. Remember, you want to kind of stay at this top area because CCMS will be here and then your stripes will be down there. Start with this rainbow shape, go in and out, in and out, stay in just about this far down. And then once you're done getting that outline with your small brush, you can start filling it in with the black. Later on, we'll be outlining it in white, so if it did get a little bit messy with the black, you can always clean it up with that white that we'll be using a little bit later. Just going to be touching this up while you are creating your paw print. You're welcome to come back and look at this as much as you need. Remember the curvy part up, in and out, and then kind of come up in this area. You do the 1, 2, 3, 4 toes. They're a little bit more rounded on the outside, a little bit flat, more flat on the bottom. You can start filling those in. Make sure everything's nice and smooth, just a tiny bit of paint. Take your time, but once you are done, the next step is writing CCMS out, and then just be sure before you do, just kind of get a good feel for your space. Be sure you're not drawing too big. I always kind of do like my imaginary CCMS so I can kind of get a good feel for the space, and I know I want it to be right about here. Leave a good bit of space from the paw to the lettering. C. Kind of wanted to show you what it looks like before you went in there and created your own. And again, it's okay if they get a little bit thick. We will outline this part in white as well. So it's okay if your letters got a little bit too thick. We'll be cleaning it up with white in just a moment. Again, it's handmade, so don't feel like you have to create like a computer, have it be perfect font. It should be in your handwriting. And if it's not perfect, we'll clean it up with white paint around it in just a bit. Going back over it and giving it a second coat. Starting from the edges and working my way in, just so I can get those outer edges a little bit more clean. Again, if you messed up, it's okay. We'll just kind of outline it here in white in just a moment to kind of clean up the outer areas. You have those two areas whenever you're ready for it. And if you don't have this much space at the bottom, it's totally fine. When we go in there and make the lines, truly, you just kind of fit in what you can at this point. We just want to make sure that we have the paws and the CCMS on there. And then you can truly try to fit as many black lines, and we'll go in there with white lines as well. You can take your time with your paw. Take your time with your CCMS. If it's not perfect, it's okay. We'll go in there and outline it in white in just a moment. And next, whenever you're ready for it, is our small brush and our black paint again. And we're going to be making those stripes. I'm going to leave a little bit of space. And then come down and just push a little bit harder on my brush than I did when I made my letters. Just so you can see that black a little bit better. Here's my first stripe. It's a little bit thinner than a pencil's width. I'll leave a little bit of a space. I'll go in there and make a thinner black line. And this is just all for decoration. It's going to be black and white stripes. So if you can't fit yours in, let me make sure you guys can see. Yeah, if you can't fit yours in, not a problem. Just do as many, or maybe do 2 if you can't do 3. But all I'm going to do is make 3 stripes, and I'm going to make another one here. Maybe like a medium thickness. So I have my thin, my large, and just pushing down just a little bit for my medium black stripe. Make sure again those lines are nice and smooth. You can go back and give them a second coat, just a little bit of black paint. So I have my paw, my CCMS, and I have my thick, thin, medium stripes. And I'm going to wash and dry my small brush. I'll wait a couple minutes to let you finish up, and to make sure my black is a little bit more dry before I show you how to create the white outline. And if yours is still shiny after I'm done showing you where the white goes, then just give yours more time to dry and then go in there with the white. So no rush. You definitely want it to be black and white and not the black and white mixing together to make the gray for this step. If you do decide that you do want to add gray in there, you can always mix some black and white on your wax paper. Just be sure not to get any on your wooden hanger if you don't want it on there. So just be super careful. Remember, all you need is a scoop of white and a tiny bit of black to make a nice medium gray. The darker you want your gray to be, add more black. The lighter you want your gray to be, add more white. So you're just kind of working on that gray scale. And be sure that your small brush is really, really washed and dried. You can even wrap it around with your paper towel. Make sure all sides are nice and neat. And again, for time's sake, I am going to show you how to start outlining everything in white. But be sure yours is nice and dry before you start. Maybe start as soon as I'm all done, or if you need more time, give it a couple more minutes after I'm done, and then go ahead and start outlining everything. But a small brush washed and dried really well. I'm going to go into my white paint, and mine is probably going to become gray because mine's still a little bit wet. And again, be sure just a little bit of white. You can always wipe some off on your plate. Let's go ahead and start right here in our paw. And all we're going to do is outline this big shape that we started with, all in white. Just going on the outer edges, just barely pushing. And if you happen to catch some black, you can always wash and dry your small brush. And I'm just on the tippy toes of my small brush. Tiny, tiny thin lines. Be very careful not to touch anything that's wet. Tiny, tiny, tiny bit of white. So I've just outlined that whole shape from before that I started out with. And then small brush, white paint again. Just tap some off so you barely have any on there. And then I'm just going to outline around each of these little cute toe prints. You want to make sure there's no blue peeking through. And truly, if you wanted to, you can always go back with your black and clean up the inside space. Just be sure that white's nice and dry. Just a tiny bit of white. I'm going to even go into that little space between them so there's no blue peeking through, just down here. And then, same with this one. Kind of fill in that space where there's a lot of blue between the two. Outline that area too. You can always go back and clean it up once it's a little bit more dry. Once you're done, maybe just wash and dry your small brush just in case you accidentally caught some black in there. Once you're done outlining the main part of the paw, the toes, again, be sure to go in between them a little bit so you don't have any white, so you don't have any blue peeking through and there's no dark blue underneath peeking through. I would go back and give this another coat just so that it's a little bit more clean, a little bit more solid. But again, once you're done, you can wash and dry your small brush. And you can just outline all around your CCMS letters. Just a little bit of white paint. Mine's still super wet, but I'm just going to go in there and outline all those letters. And it's totally okay if you're still just watching this and because your black paint is still wet. Not a problem. Remember again, this is handmade, so don't feel like your letters have to be perfect. You can always go back with your black and touch them up. In the inner area, just a little bit of white. I feel like I came in a little bit too much with my white there, so I can always let it dry and cover it up with dark blue once that white's dry. At any point, if you got black on your small brush, you can always wash and dry it really well, or just wipe it off on your paper towel. The outer edges are just kind of curvy, so I'm just going to go with the curve. I definitely got some black from my letter M, so I can go back and touch it up. It's probably not going to be perfect the first time. You probably have to go back and touch it up if you want, or if you're okay with a little bit of mistakes here and there. Totally up to you. Just be sure that the CCMS letters are pretty visible and you can read them pretty easily. Perfect. Once you're done with your lettering, you can wash and dry your small brush. I'm going to show you how to start making the stripes down here with your white. Again, you can just be letting yours dry, but if you're ready to kind of jump in on the paw at this point, because you feel like it's pretty dry, not too shiny, you can. But for my stripes, I'm going to make sure you guys can see, move this up a little bit. A small brush again, white paint up here, just along the top of my first black stripe. I'm going to make a long white line. And I can see my brush was a little bit too wet because I can see little splatters of kind of water going up. I might go in there and just make my white line just a little bit thicker. Make sure my brush is a little bit more dry. Just gonna cover it up a little bit better, but still not too thick of a line. It's just right over my black line. It's okay if they touch. Just know that it might make a little bit of a gray for now. And it's still kind of doing that white moving up. I might just let that dry and then go back with some dark blue. Which means my brush is just a little bit too wet. Here's my first white stripe. I am going to leave a little bit of blue right here. And then I'm going to go into my black, and then I'm going to go underneath this one with a white stripe. And this one I'm going to push a little bit harder. It's almost like a medium thickness. Again, I can see those little splatters of white coming down. I'll just go over them with blue. Over that white stripe, but it happens. This is one that I'll probably have to touch up just because it's just all these little fine lines that we want to make sure are pretty neat. Cute. I'm going to wash and dry my brush again. This one's over, this one's under, and then I'm going to leave a little bit of a space between this black and this white stripe, so just a little bit of white paint. Be sure your brush isn't too wet, and if you don't have this space underneath, not a problem. Just kind of make it work within the space you have. You don't even have to have this last white line if you don't have space for it. And again, I can see those little bits of white coming up and down. I'll wait for it to dry and go back over with my blue. And this part, still I can see some blue peeking through, so I'd probably go back and give that one another coat. But black, then you have that blue peeking through, and white. And this is just kind of another medium stripe, not too hard on my brush. Not too light, just kind of like a medium thickness for that one. Once you are done, it would probably be a good idea to go back and touch things up. If you are happy with your outlines and your stripes, you don't have to go back. You can even go back and touching up your black. Once your black and white's dry, you can go in there and really touch it up with some blue on the outer edges. This is one that you don't have to rush if you have the time. But we started off with our blue background, our black paw, our black lettering, our black stripes, and then our white outline, and our white stripes for this one. And the line work was only done with our small brush. The line work was only done with our small brush. And I think the only thing that we used our big brush on was our background, because we were just super careful with everything else. We wanted to keep our smaller areas pretty mini. We didn't want to get too big too fast with our bigger brush. While you're working on yours, I'll just kind of touch up mine. Again, this is a great way to just kind of hang this on a doorknob to show your school spirit, whether it's on your door, for your bedroom, or just a door anywhere in your house, just to kind of show your school spirit. Really cute, and just a good way to remember middle school. Touch up some of that inside with the dark blue. Be very careful of my lines. I'm just going to touch up some of the outer edges. I'll leave this here for a couple minutes, but otherwise we are done, artists. I hope you had a great time creating something probably new, or maybe new, something that you've never created before. So another way to kind of decorate or create really fun. At this time too, if you wanted to pause the video so you can see the final outcome, you're welcome to pause the YouTube video as well. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you had another great art class, and I hope you had a great year at Claggett Creek. I hope everyone has a great summer, and hopefully we will see you soon. Bye, artists.